Memento Mori by Jonathan Nolan. Narrated by Nathan Smith Finley. What, like a bullet, can undeceive? Herman Melville. Your wife always used to say you'd be late for your own funeral. Remember that? Her little joke because you're always such a slob. Always late, always forgetting stuff. Even before the incident. Right about now, you're probably wondering if you were late for hers. You were there, you can be sure of that. That's what the picture's for, the one tacked to the wall by the door. It's not customary to take pictures at a funeral, but somebody, or doctors, I guess, knew you wouldn't remember. So they'd have blown up nice and big and stuck it right there next to the door. So you couldn't help but see it every time you got up to find out where she was. The guy in the picture, one with the flowers, that's you. What are you doing? You're reading the headstone. Trying to figure out whose funeral you're at. Same as you're reading it now, trying to figure out why somebody tacked that picture next to your door. Why bother reading something that you won't remember? She's gone. Gone for good. And you must be hurting right now hearing the news. Believe me, I know how you feel. You're probably a wreck. But give it 5 minutes, maybe 10. And maybe you can even go a whole half hour before you forget. But you will forget. I guarantee it. A few more minutes and you'll be heading for the door looking for her all over again. Breaking down when you find the picture. How many times do you have to hear the news before some other part of your body, other than that busted brain of yours, starts to remember? Never-ending grief, never-ending anger, useless without direction. Maybe you can't understand what's happening. Can't say I understand either. Backwards amnesia, that's what the sign says. CRS disease. Your guess is as good as mine. Maybe you can't understand what happened to you, but you do remember what happened to her, don't you? The doctors won't talk about it. They won't answer my questions. They don't think it's right for a man in your condition to hear about those things. But you remember enough, don't you? You remember his face. That's why I'm writing to you. Futile, maybe. I don't know how many times you'll have to read this before you listen to me. I don't know how long you've been locked up in this room already. Neither do you. But your advantage in forgetting is that you'll forget to write yourself off as a lost cause. Sooner or later, you want to do something about it. And when you do, you just have to trust me, because I'm the only one who can help you. Earl opens one eye after another to a stretch of white ceiling tiles, interrupted by a hand-printed sign taped right above his head, large enough for him to read from the bed. An alarm clock is ringing somewhere. He reads the sign, blinks, reads it again, then takes a look at the room. It's a white room, overwhelmingly white, from the walls and the curtains to the institutional furniture and the bedspread. The alarm clock is ringing from the white desk under the window with the white curtains. At this point, Earl probably notices that he is lying on top of his white comforter. He's already wearing a dressing gown and slippers. He lies back and reads the sign taped to the ceiling again. It says, in crude block capitals, "This is your room. This is a room in a hospital. This is where you live now." Earl rises and takes a look around. The room is large for a hospital. Empty linoleum stretches out from the bed in 3 directions, 2 doors and a window. The view isn't very helpful either. A close of trees in the center of a carefully manicured piece of turf that terminates in a silver 2-lane blacktop. The trees, except for the evergreens, are bare. Early spring or late fall, one or the other. Every inch of the desk is covered with post-it notes, legal pads, neatly printed lists, psychological textbooks, framed pictures. On top of the mess is a half-completed crossword puzzle. The alarm clock is writing a pile of folded newspapers. Earl slaps the snooze button and takes a cigarette from the pack taped to the sleeve of his dressing gown. He pats the empty pockets of his pajamas for a light. He rifles the papers on the desk, looks quickly through the drawers. Eventually he finds a box of kitchen matches taped to the wall next to the window. Another sign is taped just above the box. It says, in loud yellow letters, "Cigarette? Check for lit ones first, stupid." Earl laughs at the sign, lights the cigarette, and takes a long draw. Taped to the window in front of him is another piece of loose-leaf paper headed, "Your schedule." It charts off the hours, every hour, in blocks. 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. is labeled, "Go back to sleep." Earl consults the alarm clock. 8:15. Given the light outside, it must be morning. He checks his watch. 10:30. He presses the watch to his ear and listens. Gives the watch a wind or two and sets it to match the alarm clock. According to the schedule, the entire block from 8 to 8:30 has been labeled, "Brush your teeth." Earl laughs again and walks over to the bathroom. The bathroom window is open. As he flaps his arms to keep warm, he notices the ashtray on the windowsill. A cigarette is perched on the ashtray, burning steadily through a long finger of ash. He frowns, extinguishes the old butt, and replaces it with a new one. The toothbrush has already been treated to a smudge of white paste. The tap is of the push-button variety, a dose of water with each nudge. Earl pushes the brush into his cheek and fiddles it back and forth while he opens the medicine cabinet. The shelves are stocked with single-serving packages of vitamins, aspirins, antidiuretics. The mouthwash is also single-serving, about a shot glass worth of blue liquid in a sealed plastic bottle. Only the toothpaste is regular-sized. Earl spits the paste out of his mouth and replaces it with the mouthwash. As he lays the toothbrush next to the toothpaste, he notices a tiny wedge of paper pinched between the glass shelf and the steel backing of the medicine cabinet. He spits the frothy blue fluid into the sink and nudges for some more water to rinse it down. He closes the medicine cabinet and smiles at his reflection in the mirror. Who needs half an hour to brush their teeth? The paper has been folded down to a minuscule size with all the precision of a sixth grader's love note. Earl unfolds it and smooths it against the mirror. Reads, "If you can still read this, then you're a fucking coward." Earl stares blankly at the paper and reads it again. He turns it over. On the back, it reads, "P.S. After you've read this, hide it again." Earl reads both sides again, then folds the note back down to its original sides and tucks it underneath the toothpaste. Maybe then he notices the scar. It begins just beneath the ear, jagged and thick, and disappears abruptly into his hairline. Earl turns his head and stares out the corner of his eye to follow the scar's progress. He traces it with a fingertip and looks back down at the cigarette burning in the ashtray. A thought seizes him, and he spins out of the bathroom. He's caught at the door to his room, one hand on the knob. 2 pictures are taped to the wall by the door. Earl's attention is caught first by the MRI, a shiny black frame for 4 windows into someone's skull. In marker, the picture is labeled, "Your brain." Earl stares at it, concentric circles in different colors. He can make out the big orbs of his eyes, and behind these the twin lobes of his brain. Smooth wrinkles, circles, semicircles. Right there in the middle of his head, circled in marker, tunneled in from the back of his neck like a maggot into an apricot, is something different. Deformed, broken, but unmistakable. A dark smudge, the shape of a flower, right there in the middle of his brain. Bends to look at the other picture. It is a photograph of a man holding flowers standing over a fresh grave. The man is bent over reading the headstone. For a moment, this looks like a hall of mirrors with beginnings of a sketch of infinity. One man bent over looking at the smaller man bent over reading the headstone. Earl looks at the picture for a long time. Maybe he begins to cry. Maybe he just stares silently at the picture. Eventually, he makes his way back to the bed, flops down, seals his eyes shut, and tries to sleep. The cigarette burns steadily away in the bathroom. A circuit in the alarm clock counts down from 10, and it starts ringing again. Earl's eyes open one after the other to a stretch of white ceiling tiles, interrupted by a hand-printed sign taped right above his head, large enough for him to read from the bed.